So let's talk rents. Rents are absolutely crazy at the moment. When I put a rental property on to rent, I'm talking 4 or 5 years ago, I'd get 2, 3, 4, 5 viewings tops. Now, the estate agent has to actually cut off the listing because there's so many inquiries, and it really is a difficult time for renters in the market right now. So we're going to cover that and more and figure out what's going on in the rental market right now. But before we jump into that, if you haven't done already, subscribe to the channel and hit the bell notification. We're on our way to 7,000 subscribers, and I think we'll hit it this week if you take your finger of power and subscribe over there. Also, we're on target for 100,000 views in August of 2023 on the channel. So make sure as well, while you're here, you smash, go on, do it while I'm waiting, smash the like button, guys. That really helps us with the YouTube algorithm. So, rent. What is going on? Well, I think the stuff that is happening with rent is not good for landlords. I just think it's not good for anybody. But a lot of landlords are having to put their rents up because they have no other option. You see, in the last 2 to 3 years, we've had 30% of landlords that have left the market. They've left the market due to things like Section 24. That's where the tax is now paid on the gross rent, not just on your profits. Most normal businesses, if you took £1,000 in sales, you deduct your costs. So you deduct your maintenance, you deduct your mortgage payments and all of this stuff, and then the profit left is what you'd pay tax on. Now landlords, they pay tax on the full rental amount. It's the only business that does that I'm aware of, and that's meant most or a lot have left, and a lot more are even considering. 500,000 more are considering leaving. You've got EPC updates. So that's the Energy Performance Certificate updates. Those are really stringent, difficult, and they're a problem at the moment. So you've got landlords potentially having to spend tens of thousands of pounds doing up their property with EPCs as well. That is worrying a lot of landlords, and so that's another reason people are leaving. You've got something called Section 21, where right now you can do a no-fault eviction. If your tenant, you want them to leave, you can ask them to leave, and you can get your property back, run it as an Airbnb, sell it, do whatever you want. That's leaving, that's moving. That Section 21 is going to go. So if your tenant doesn't want to leave and they're paying their rent, it's going to be really that little bit more difficult. And so that's putting off landlords as well. So all of these things are causing major problems. We've got record immigration, which is fine. I don't have a massive problem with it, but it means that we should be building around 300,000 houses per year, and the UK government is struggling to build more than 150,000 at the moment. What's also happening is big companies are slowing down their building right now. Crest Nicholson, nothing to do with me, unfortunately, but Crest Nicholson is one of the biggest builders in the UK, and they're pausing projects. They're laying off staff because the sales just aren't coming through. They're keeping the prices high, but the volume of sales is down significantly, and so they're not going to commit to building new projects and stuff like that. All of this stuff means that there is a lack of rental properties on the market. If landlords leave, that house might get sold to a first-time buyer. That's fine, good for them. But some people just want to rent because of necessity. Maybe they've got a bad credit rating, maybe affordability. They can't afford to buy a house or get a deposit, or maybe just location freedom. Maybe they want to move around the UK for certain reasons. There's hundreds or millions of people that want to rent a property. The problem is there is not enough stock. There's not enough stock. And that's a big problem for landlords. That's a big problem for tenants as well. And the government aren't doing anything that I can see that's going to help this. Now, Sadiq Khan has talked about rent caps in London. Well, when that happened in Ireland, what happened was rents shot up around 30% overnight. Because what happened was landlords knew that they might not be able to put their rent up anymore. And so they put the price up prior to this coming in place, because you can't just turn it on overnight. You've got to give 6 months warning, a year warning to something major like that happening. And that's happened in other cities all around the world as well. It's also meant that other landlords have quit in other countries. And so if you keep pushing all these different agendas, you're going to have major problems. So rents are rising. I, in Hastings, rent properties, and so I've got a 3-bedroom house that was rented out only a few years ago for £800, and the market rent for that right now is £1,300. That's a huge difference. There is also hardly any stock in that market. It's very understocked at the moment, and I think that rent by mid next year, I believe that rent will be at £1,500. Now, we're worried about inflation, right? We're worried about inflation. This rental inflation is going to be significantly worse for tenants than a 25% price increase on eggs. This is significantly higher, big tickets that we're talking about here, and it's here to stay. That's the problem. Now, landlords are also being hit by higher interest rates. And so landlords aren't making more profits. In fact, a lot of landlords are making no profit at the moment. They're just holding on for dear life. And so landlords' interest payments have tripled, potentially, or quadrupled for some people. There are people that are on a 1% interest rate that are coming off that might only get a 6% interest rate. That means their interest payment's gone up 6 times. It's rare that that's happened, but that is going to happen to some people. And so those increases in costs are getting passed on to the generation rent. So I feel that the government needs to come up with some sort of strategy in order to help alleviate this for everyone. First off, we need to build more properties. So if the big developers are leaving the market and saying, look, we're not planning to build many new projects, we're just going to sell through what we've got, we're going to make redundancies. Of course, they're going to do some projects, but only the really good ones. Then how are we ever going to get enough houses built? What's going to happen with that? If you look at what Michael Gove is saying, he said, I'm going to build in the cities. I'm not going to build on the green belt or the brown belt. We're going to build in the cities where we already have people, where we need more accommodation. Now that makes sense. But what they've also said is they don't have the infrastructure to back that up. The roads aren't good enough. Ambulances and healthcare are not going to be able to cope. This is their words, the government's findings, not mine. They're saying that ambulances won't be able to get to places because there's going to be too many people. Imagine if London was the same size as it is right now and 10% more people lived there, 10% more cars, 10% more people on the tube or the buses. It's not going to work. And so they need to look at other options in order to deal with this crisis. I feel that this is one of the biggest problems that landlords are going to face, because look, you might need to put your rent up to $1,500 just to make the same money that you did at $800, right? That's possible. But it's also possible, very likely, how is the tenant going to afford that? That's the problem. How's the tenant going to afford a doubling potentially of their rent by next year? That's where we've got a crisis on. I don't see any solutions to this that anyone's putting out there at the moment. All we're seeing is interest rates are going to go up, landlords' payments are going to go up, that's going to get passed on, more landlords are leaving, so there's now less rental stock, that's going to force prices up as well. Now, there's a bit of a positive in there for landlords that the rents are going up. That means that these interest rate rises are going to be able to be more stomached and we can cope with it a little bit better. But long term, it's not a great solution. And so I'd love to know what your thoughts are. What do you feel the government should be doing today in order to deal with this rental crisis? I don't think anyone watching this thinks this is a positive thing. So what's the solution, guys? Do comment below, let me know your thoughts. Do like the video. Remember, we're trying to get 700,000 views, 7,000 subscribers, and 100,000 views just in August. So do like the video, that really helps. Subscribe, hit the bell, and if you want to get me one more view, go and watch this video right here.